Hey guys, welcome back to NFL Trading Room. We are back with another edition of the 2027 NFL Draft Summer Scouting Series. Today we're going to be going over defensive tackles. For this list, I watched 21 defensive tackles, and the way I'm going to go through it, I'm going to mention all 21 that I watched, and then we'll get into the top five. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, for this one, we're going to start with our non-draftable grades and just kind of work our way down. So we've got a couple non-draftable grades here. DT21, it's the Filing Green transfer from Clemson to LSU. And then we've got at DT20, Mario Landino out of Indiana. Now jumping into our day three grades, and we're just going to continue to go down starting at 19, Marquise Deal out of TCU. We've got Elanius Davis out of Washington. Hero Kanu out of Texas, AJ Holmes out of Texas Tech, Santana Hopper, who transferred from Tulane to Colorado, DJ Hicks out of Texas A&M, Cody Siegler, who transferred from Arkansas State to Auburn, CJ Fight out of Arizona State, and Tyreek Tucker out of Indiana. Now we're going to go ahead and get into our day two grades. This is right where the top 10 starts, so this is kind of perfect timing. And we're just going to start from 10 to 6, and then we'll hop into the top five. At 10, we've got James Smith, who transferred from Alabama to Ohio State. At 9, it's Mateen Ibaragba, who transferred from Wake Forest to Texas Tech. At 8, it is Bear Alexander out of Oregon. At 7, it is Tavion Gadsden out of Kentucky. And then at 6, a big my guy for me is Jaden Jackson out of Oklahoma. Loved his tape. Really fun player to watch. But now that those are out of the way, we're going to go ahead and hop right in to the top five. And first of all, this is a loaded defense tackle class. There are even some names that I wasn't able to get to that could definitely be in the upper half of this list come next April. But I had 5 first round grades. The last two are kind of bordering on the fence between first and second round, but 5 first round grades for this defensive tackle class. It's a really, really awesome class, really fun group to watch. But starting at number 5, it is Amari Washington, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. Amari Washington, big frame. That's the first thing I think that jumps off the tape. He's 6'3", I believe, verified at 319 pounds, really long arms, and just he creates chaos all over the field. And a lot of that chaos is very destructive. He's consistently blowing up blocks, blowing up plays in the backfield, just moving offensive linemen from point A to point B. And his frame is filled out, which combined with those long arms makes him a very tough player to move, especially in the run game. And as an athlete, he's very, very explosive, and he's twitchy off the ball. It's lightning quick how he gets off the ball. When the hands land, his hands are extremely strong, and they create a ton of displacement and disruption. And there are some fun block deconstruction reps across his tape, which that's what that plays into. And the pass rush move that really stood out to me is his swim move. His swim move is very violent. It's very effective. He goes to it. He knows that that's his best move, and he uses it very well. But he is a little bit more inconsistent, which is why he finds himself at DT5 for me. With the chaos, it's kind of a yin and a yang with him. His chaos kind of translates to his technique. So his hand placement can be a little bit all over the place, which can lead to some of the inconsistencies in his game. I think he also, as an athlete, even with how explosive and flexible he is, he does have some balance issues. And I think something that may improve that is if he's able to play with a more consistent base. There were some times where his feet would get a little bit wide, or he would, try to face on a double team with just one leg in the ground, which that's never going to go particularly well. So if he can continue to improve that and be more consistent down to down with his base, I think those balance issues will iron itself out. Also, speaking about his pass rush plan, of course, we mentioned the spin move, but I think he's got to continue to develop counters in the latter stages of the pass rush. And we talk about, counters all the time. It's not just something where you win and then you win, or where you start your rush and then you're able to win later in the rep. Counters have to be fast, especially at the next level. it's got to be boom, boom between your first move and your next move. They've got to be paired and meshed well together. So that's something I'd like to see moving forward from him. But even with the inconsistencies, when you've got a guy of this size, that's this explosive, this powerful, that shows the flashes that he does, I'm going to bet on that all day long, especially in summer scouting where we're really projecting. Of course, the film is what the film is, and we have to take that into account. And that's going to be the vast majority of the grade. But we also have to account for what they could be in the future. And I think Amari Washington is a pretty good case of that, of trying to project for the future. He's got all the tools in the world. Really excited that he came back for his senior year to continue to develop, continue to build on his game. Really excited to watch him and Bear Alexander together in that Oregon front. Coming in next at defensive tackle 4, it is Ahmad Moten Sr. out of Miami. He stands at 6'3", 311 pounds, so pretty good size there. And he really broke out in 2025. He totaled 31 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and an almost 11% pressure rate, and combine that with 19 run stops as well. He was one of the more fun watches on tape for me. Really, really explosive player. He's listed on the website at 300 pounds, but got the verified measurement of 311 pounds, which is a lot closer to what I thought he was. I thought he seemed to be more in that 315 range. Um, but that makes it all the more surprising that he's able to move like he does. He is such an explosive athlete off the ball. He's got flexibility in the lower half. He's got twitch in the lower half. He's just all around an explosive athlete. I think the thing that sticks out the most with his athleticism is his lateral juice. He's able to sift between gaps insanely quickly, and he's got a lot of vertical explosion and acceleration to get up the field and create penetration in the backfield. And that, I think, is made very apparent on his first step. He's like Amari Washington, very quick off the ball, fires out in a hurry. I think you all also see this in the open field when he's in pursuit of the ball carrier. He has some really fun reps where he's chasing a ball carrier downfield and is, giving his all as a 300-pounder, getting down there and make a play. I love seeing that from defensive tackles. Something that also it plays into his athleticism, his swim move is very quick. He's got really quick hands, and you combine that with his fluid hips and ankles, he's able to create lanes to the quarterback that some other defensive tackles just can't, because those other defensive tackles may be too stiff to be able to use those lanes to their advantage. So I think he does a nice job of understanding those rush lanes and using his bend and flexibility to create those lanes to the quarterback. And while I do prefer more stack and shed defenders when it comes to the run game from interior defenders, he does get a lot of penetration, and he's very effective in doing so. I would rather him be a stack and shed player, but if he's penetrating as much as he showed last year into the backfield, that still shows me that something in the run game. And I don't think he has any leverage issues either. So if he does become more of a stack and shed player, which I would like to see, I don't think the leverage is going to hold him back in any sense that way. He's able to stay low, stay under his pads, stay under the breastplate of the offensive lineman, and win that leverage battle. Now, he may be explosive, but a big problem I have with his game, he really struggles to hold his ground against double teams. The technique is a bit wonky. He, like Washington, has, I think, a base issue against double teams. You don't really see that from him in one-on-one scenarios, but I think you see that in double team scenarios quite often, where it just seems like one foot seems to be out of the ground on contact, and that makes for a lot of displacement. So that's definitely something he needs to work on. I think something else that kind of plays into the stack and shed portion that we were discussing earlier, I think his hand placement in stack and shed scenarios could be a lot better. There are times where his hands just flat out miss. There are times where his hands are not in the correct position, and that can lead to a lot of times where, physically he may be able to stack the offensive lineman with his strength, but he's not able to effectively shed with that good hand placement. And even with the strength that he has, it can be an issue to stack if your hands are off and in the wrong place. Something I try to look for in defense tackles as well is, can they win with the bull rush? And I didn't think Ahmad Moten did a great job of winning with the bull rush. There were some times where he was able to push the pocket a little bit, but nothing really that got me too excited with his bull rush. So I'd like to see that maybe take a step and at least show a couple flashes of that in 2026. I think something that could be a part of that is he does have a little bit below average arms, so he may have some struggles locking out offensive guards and centers. Um, so that may be an issue that leads to it, but I still think with his lower half explosiveness and leverage, there should be more wins with the bull rush on his tape. But again, like Washington, when you get a guy that is this explosive and this twitchy and of this frame, if he can improve his power and perform better against double teams, I think we'll see much better consistent play from him in 2026. And if that's the case, then I think he'll probably find his way higher up this list. Quick break in the breakdown. If you guys wouldn't mind to go down below, drop a like, drop a comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That will let us know that you're enjoying the content, and we'll continue to bring content like this to you throughout the draft season. Let's get back into the video. All right, at DT3, it's another Miami Hurricane. It is Justin Scott. Justin Scott stands at 6'3", 304 pounds, verified, and boy is he filled out. That's one of the first things you notice on tape. He fills out his pads. He's got really long arms. He is overall just an imposing defensive tackle. I think he also may be the most flexible player in this group. He's flexible than a lot of the edge rushers that I ended up watching last cycle, which is interesting, but also maybe concerning for last year's edge group. But but his hips and ankle flexion, it's really exciting to see him be able to bend past guards and create those lanes to the quarterback. This is again something you see with Miami defensive tackles. His lower half explosiveness is crazy. The first steps that he gets, and also his closing speed to the ball carrier is really impressive for someone of his size. And I thought honestly the thing I enjoyed the most with his tape was his cross chop. If you are a fan of the cross chop move, especially from interior rushers, you will be in football heaven watching his tape. He lands it consistently. It's powerful. It's exciting to watch. He gets a lot of displacement with that first outside hand that he uses. It's just really fun to watch, and it's might be the most effective cross chop in this class that I've watched so far. I also think, unlike Moton, he holds up pretty well against double teams. I think his anchor is really strong. I think he plays good technique. He's got a good base against double teams, and he's able to lock out and hold his ground against any offensive guard. I didn't see many offensive guards be able to move him at all, really. And I think this goes back to the coaching with Miami. This is something that also stood out with Moton. His leverage is consistent. He's consistently the low man, consistently wins the leverage battle. I love that out of defensive tackles, especially these taller guys. Even at 6'3", that's still a situation where you may be the same height as an offensive guard. So to be able to consistently win those leverage battles is really impressive for me. I think one thing that I'm looking for, though, with Scott's strength, even though he is very strong and that really stands out in the run game, I want to see that more often in his bull rush. I want to see that more often as a pass rusher. There were some decent reps scattered across this tape, but I want it to be more consistent. But that's to be expected out of a true sophomore who was playing last year. I think something else I'm looking for as a pass rusher, his ability to counter really just isn't there yet. So that's definitely something I'm looking for going into next season. I think his eyes in the run game are pretty inconsistent. There are times where he'll take the cheese on a tight end coming across the formation to kind of give some eye candy to the defense, and he'll go with that, and that gets him out of his gap and takes him out of the play. I think really the last thing, which it was only a problem in one game that I watched, but I saw another one elsewhere. He just had some dumb penalties. There was one that stood out against Ole Miss that was very late hit, should not have happened. So he's got to clean that up from that standpoint. But with his tools, with his power, with his strength, with his athletic ability, it would not shock me at all if he ends up number one on this list next April. He's just got to take that step. Coming in at DT2, just barely missing out on the top spot, it is David Stone out of Oklahoma. This is another guy that's imposing, 6'3", 310 pounds, freakishly long arms. He's a former five-star recruit, and you can definitely see why. His frame, along with his athletic ability, really jumps out on the screen. As far as his build, he almost looks like a muscle hamster. This dude has been in the gym constantly. He is absolutely ripped, and you can tell on tape, even from the tight angle, you can tell that even though it's a sky cam. But again, his athletic ability really just jumps off the screen. His ability to explode into the backfield vertically and also sifts between gaps laterally is really impressive, and he creates a ton of chaos in the backfield. He as well, along with Scott, I think was pretty flexible. There were times where Oklahoma was able to run him on stunts, and he was able to bend that corner inside the center or the guard, just depending on where the stunt was ran. So that was really impressive to see. On top of that, he's got some of the quickest and most powerful hands that I've seen in quite some time. When that lands, there is almost no guard able to stop him. He just creates such violence, and it just happens so quick when he's able to get hands on a guard or a center. There's just not a lot that they can do, especially with his long arms, to stop him. I think something that, or an analogy that I thought of when thinking about his power, he's a little bit like a power hitting prospect in baseball. Love baseball, as you can see behind me, but he's a bit like a power hitting prospect in baseball, where the scouts just rave about his raw power, the exit velos that he's getting, and stuff like that. That's kind of the way I think about David Stone. The highs that you see out of David Stone, insanely impressive with his power. He's launching guards, 3 to 5 yards back in the backfield. Really, really fun to see. And his motor runs white hot, which I love seeing out of defensive tackles, especially these high recruited guys. And he never takes a play off. He knows he's talented, but he knows that he's also, if he takes a play off, Brent Venables is going to get after him. So I love to see that he never takes a play off. He's always going 110% on every single play. Now, kind of the flip coin to that analogy with Stone as a power hitting baseball prospect, he's almost like a football version of a three true outcome hitter in baseball. If you don't know what a three true outcome hitter is, think of like a Joey Gallo type where it's either home run, a walk, or a strikeout. That's kind of how it goes. So the highs are going to be insanely high, but the inconsistencies are definitely going to be noticeable in the game. And I think that's what you see a bit with Stone. His hand placement in the run game, I think, it needs refinement. There are times where it's just inconsistent placement. I think that leads to a lot of him being displaced. It's not a strength issue for me. It's a hand placement and leverage issue. That's another thing with Stone is his leverage. He's got to learn to stay low. I know he's flexible in the lower half. He's just got to show that early on in the rep when he's trying to win that leverage battle. I think something else that plays along with a bit of the displacement in the run game, along with the hand placement, is his balance. His balance is a little bit off at times, which can just lead to, especially against double teams, some displacement in the run game. But with a player as talented as this, that possesses this type of raw power, this type of athleticism, he's going to be in this first round conversation. Would not surprise me at all if he's the first defensive lineman off the board. There's some edge rushers that certainly have something to say about that, and my DT1 that might have something to say about that, but it would not surprise me at all with the tools that he possesses. Again, like Scott, he's just got to take that next step. And coming in at DT1, it is Will Eccles out of Ole Miss. Eccles stands at 6'3", 309. I honestly thought he looked a little bit bigger than that, but that is the verified measurement. Eccles, to me, he is the model of consistency. He is maybe the most consistent player I've watched in this class outside of Jeremiah Smith and Leonard Moore, who are pretty much the consensus top two players in this class. But he is just a model of consistently. He is flat out immovable in the run game. He's just able to anchor so well, and he always wins the leverage battle. He's able to get strong hands on and lock out guards and centers, and even tackles at times as well, and just really hold his ground. And you just can't move him in the run game. He's got a well-built frame that's able to withstand contact from guards and centers, and mitigate that movement. He's got twitchy hands that make it hard for offensive linemen to successfully move him from point A to point B as well. He's able to use really quick swim moves and swipe moves, even in the run game, to be able to knock them off their balance. Speaking of that swim move, it is absolutely lethal in both phases. And that seems to kind of be a theme with these defense tackles, as they all seem to have at least a serviceable swim move. But I think Eccles may have the best out of this group. The quickness that he uses with it, the variety in which he does it, as well as being effective with it in the pass rush and in the run game, I think that definitely stands out from his tape. I think he may have also been the most instinctive counter rusher in this class so far as well. His ability to just pair moves together and instinctively counter with the snap of a finger late in the rush, thought that was really impressive, especially for a true sophomore last year. with his bull rushes, you're not going to see those super highlight, forklift bull rushes where he's lifting a guard off the ground and planting him 3 yards back. But what you're going to get with his bull rush is consistent pushback, consistent penetration into the pocket, which really gets quarterbacks timid. You talk to really any quarterback out there, they would much rather have exterior pressure than interior pressure. Eccles is consistently going to get pocket push up the middle. On top of that, he plays with a ton of effort. Love to see that. He's a junkyard dog. He does the dirty work there in the middle for Ole Miss. And overall, I just love his game. And I think most of the holes that I listed in Eccles' game are more nitpicks than anything. But I think they are negatives. His arm length is below average. I think the arm length that he uses it well. But there are going to be times against guards that have longer arms that there may be times where he's not able to lock them out as effectively. I would say he possesses just average vertical athleticism, which isn't a bad thing per se, but he's not the athlete vertically that some of these other guys are. Now, I do think his lateral quickness is definitely a plus, but just his vertical athleticism and his burst off the ball is just a little bit slow. I think the tackling could also be a little bit cleaned up. There were just some times where he missed a play in the backfield. His missed tackle rate, I don't have that off the top of my head, but I think it was rather high for a defensive tackle, so would like to see that get cleaned up. But he still made plenty of plays in the backfield. And then lastly, his diagnostics in the run game, even though it was just a couple per game, there were just times where he would find himself out of his gap or being too aggressive on a certain play. So I'd like to see that just iron itself out. But of course, guys are going to blow assignments. It's bound to happen at least once a game. I think that just continues to speak to how consistent he is, that it's only happening about twice a game. So as he continues to develop, I'm sure that'll clean itself up on its own. And just to kind of sum it up with Eccles, I really just don't see a world where Eccles isn't at least a solid contributor at the next level. I think at worst, he's a rotational player, role player. And I think at best, he's got some all pro skills to him. So love his game. Definitely worthy of this DT1 spot. Really excited to see where his development continues to take him in 2026, especially with how far he has come with his technique. So really excited to watch him. But that wraps up the 2027 defensive tackle summer scouting episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you wouldn't mind to go down below, drop a like, drop a comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, that will just let us know that you're enjoying the content. We'll continue to bring more content like this to you throughout the draft season. Thank you guys again for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys next time.